Hi, welcome to Astrology for Game Traders. My name's Olga Morales, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects. I have many, but this one is, again, one of my favorite research topics, and basically eclipses and earthquakes, and are they connected? Okay. Um, Over the years, I have always found that to be true. When you look at the old mundane astrology books, they talk about eclipses having a correlation with earthquakes or vice versa. And it's been one of my interests for a long time. And this particular lunar eclipse that's coming up on between the 27th and 28th of August, which is only like in 5 days, is a particular interesting one because it makes a hard aspect to a planet, Uranus, that has the reputation for sudden events and also seismic activity. And this chart blew me away, and I know that you are going to find it amazing, just as much as I do. And I've been doing this for years. It blows me away every time I look at these charts. I'm in awe. And now that we have these amazing astro mapping tools that, in Gans days, I know they were plotting them by hand on world maps, but we can just like flick a button. This is Astro Gold. It looks amazing on this satellite chart. So let's get started. This is what I'm looking at. The actual eclipse. Okay, let me move me out of the way. It's a lunar partial eclipse, but what's amazing about it is, or like dynamic about it, is that we have, this is a lunar eclipse if you're new to astrology, and you see how the sun is next to the south node. When we have eclipses, there's a distance between the nodal axis that has to be for it to be an eclipse, or else we would have eclipses every month. Okay, it's also to do with the moon's latitude, declination, and also how close it is to the actual lunar the nodes. Okay, and it's only about 5 degrees apart here, so that makes it an eclipse. But what's so interesting about that, apart from Mercury being conjunct the sun, okay, it's actually square Uranus, which is a planet of revolution, as we know, but also sudden shocks. And he is very much the planet who is involved with um, seismic, as I said, and volcanic. It's well known for that. It's a shock, it's a sudden thing happening, electrical, and it's so. This is a mutable cross, so it's the energy of mutable is very changing. Okay, so a sudden thing can occur because Mercury is involved too. Mercury is the planet of trade, communication, so this can be a big disruption in all things to do with communication. Okay, also transport and news, sudden events in the news that create a shock. So I'm expecting something, seismic, which we already have many, but also it could be. Now, remember, with eclipses, that doesn't have to happen on the day, but sometimes it does. But usually, and eclipses can be active 12 months, 6 months before, okay? And so they're very important. So let's have a look. When I put this on the dial, if you have never heard of me before, I use a 90-degree dial because I trained as a cosmobiologist as well. And what happens when you put it on the dial, all those planets, because they're opposite and square, they look like a conjunction. And this is what makes it really powerful. But look at what it's doing. While it's called, they're all coming together on a hard aspect, but they're also triggering the Neptune and Pluto midpoint. Now, remember, these two we've been watching since they had the big alignment, which I was calling the Mighty Four at Four, but Jupiter's not in it at the moment. But this alignment here, it's been triggering these three planets, which they were calling the basket. I called it the Grail. Other people are calling it other names, but it's an amazing configuration because they're sextile, okay, and they look nice on the dial. But also we've got some other midpoints here coming up. But can you see that it's directly across the dial is Venus, because she's at a maximum elongation as an evening star. She's very bright. And isn't it interesting that they are all aligned? Very easy to work with Venus on the dial. This is why I love it so much. But let's have a look. This part is what blew me away, okay? Now remember that Uranus is square the eclipse, okay? Just remember that, because when we put the lines on the astro mapping, this is where the magic happens, okay? So, wow, look at this. This blew me away, okay? I have an inner group, an inner circle that is closed that I started at the beginning of the year. So I've been showing them this chart from the beginning of the year. And so this is what blew me away, okay? And it's not cherry picking. We get accused of all these things, but look, these are the lines. You can replicate this. I haven't made it up. All I've done is I've plotted the lunar eclipse on maps. This is just it's not geodetic. This is the actual eclipse on the chart, okay? Then what I've done, I've put the Paran lines between the Sun and Uranus, okay? Parans is like one planet is, while one planet is rising, the other planet might be culminating, and it's like an intersection. And they're on a particular latitude on the Earth, right? But look at this. You can see the Sun and Mercury because they're conjunct, okay, and the Moon is above. So this is culminating. If we follow this line, it goes all the way through Venezuela, which we've had an earthquake, and also Colombia. You can see the Uranus actually going right through, like Bogota in Colombia. And you can see the lines. Look at the Paran lines going through this location. So this is already alerting us that this place, like, can be, nothing is guaranteed with this, but can be a potential spot for an earthquake to occur, all right, which we already know has happened, all right. But then directly opposite, this is exactly 180 degrees, there was a huge one, if we know, one was in the Philippines and the other one was in, where was the other one? Philippines and Indonesia, right? And you can see the lines here. We've got the moon on the IC and the sun and Mercury, Uranus, the lines going through this area, and huge earthquakes there, okay? Then there was one just recently, I think the other day in Japan, okay? This hasn't got the Sun-Uranus line through it, but it's actually got Uranus actually going through that area, but it had the Sun-Mars line going through there. The other ones is for Australia, near Australia, there was Vanuatu and Tonga. Okay, they've just happened. And also in Mexico. Now, these are earthquakes that are quite large, over 7 points. Okay, this is just like incredible. I mean, the fact that these lines can show us potential areas, it's just like, as I said, amazing. Let's have a look at a close-up. This is what I mean, in case you're doubting me. You can see this Sun-Uranus Paran line going right through this area. There's Venezuela and Colombia, and you can see Uranus going right through there. Okay, I don't know if anything happened in here. Mexico, and also see the lines are going perfectly through Venezuela. So, I had these charts up in my group, but now that these things have occurred, it's like actually showing us, yes, you can use these lines to give you a potential area for earthquakes, okay, especially when Uranus is involved. Sometimes eclipses they're not as dynamic as this one, but this one is. And so they're the ones that we take notice of. And when I do a close-up in Australia here, you can see this is always the Philippines, right? Going through Indonesia here, exactly in this area, and also in between these Paran lines. This gives us like a boundary, like latitude lines where there's focus, okay? Not just the longitude, we've got latitude. What I'm worried about there's one going through here, through Hawaii, okay? And a little bit lower here. There was the one in Tonga. You can see Tonga and Vanuatu, the lines going through right on this Sun Uranus Paran lines. Now, you can see it going through Australia too. I mean, these are already hotspots because anything that's like in the Ring of Fire, they're already known to be areas where there's more likelihood of an earthquake occurring. So if you see these lines lining up there, you're going to you're going to speculate, maybe not even speculation, you're going to think this is a potential area where there could be an earthquake. Now, there's been a lot of volcanic activity as well. There are lines going through where volcanoes are as well. So I just wanted to show you that this is why I love studying, obviously, astrology, but using your eclipses, using your astro mapping, this is the first time I've been using the Astro Gold, because I've got their software now. I've got it on my Mac and I've got it on my Windows, and I haven't had these beautiful satellite maps, which makes it also real. So have a look, have a play yourself if you've got the software, and it's not just me making this up. This is confirmation that it works for me. I've been doing this for years. If you've been following me since I've been posting Gann charts, I've been putting the eclipses and earthquake charts up for years, but this is just showing me how amazingly perfect it actually is. And it is a system that's been handed down to us from ancient astrologers and all the mundane astrologers. I mean, Gann started Tunnel Through the Air with the with the earthquake in San Francisco. He talks about eclipses in it. So he finishes his novel with an eclipse going over New York. So it's all in the story, okay? And this is fantastic. So I'm sorry for the people who have experienced hardships from these earthquakes, but I think there's a lot of more activity, and at the moment also because the moon has a big impact on this, and the moon the last year or so is at its maximum declination, major standstill, and that in itself has a bigger pull. So all these cycles have an impact on our everyday lives because of the pull it has on the earth, especially with eclipses, because there's a pull, and that generates more energy, and we get these eruptions. Okay, so eruptions and earthquakes, it's yeah. So yeah, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed that, and this is why I love studying this. And thanks for listening. This is my website. I've got courses, and I've also got books. And yeah, follow me if you like this sort of information. When I see something interesting, I'll put a video out, and this is very interesting. Okay, thanks for listening.